Okay, but before that, let me introduce our speaker's background. She's known as the Career Doctor, a co-founder and general manager at Dragon Fire Corporate Solution, a certified HRDF trainer, a speaker, moderator who has vast experience in talent and career management, a top inspiration LinkedIn icons in Malaysia. And without further ado, let's welcome Coach Hanie, Razaif Bohlender. Okay, please Coach, pass over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Hanie. It's such a great pleasure to be here today, everyone. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. And I hope that all of you have gone through a fantastic day today. And I'm just so honored to be invited by Faisal and team to be here and to share some of my thoughts about some of the challenges that many of us are facing in the current world of work today. And some of the things that I'm going to share today, I hope that would be very useful to all of you who are on the career, on a job search, or even looking out to find new career path, for example. So I would like to invite all of you, if it's possible, to switch on your video. You can stay on mute, that's not a problem. I think, you know, with the new norm and all that, what a lot of us are missing are the human interaction. And I also feel that we should not allow machine to block us from having the interaction and engagement with each other. So if you guys are okay with switching on your video, please do so, unless it's interrupting with your data. I can understand. I'm looking at some of the names here. Some of you looks familiar, I think, based on names. I'm not quite sure because I haven't seen the faces. All right. So let's start with this. Hanie, the topic that was being given to me is very interesting because, you know, it reflects a lot on the things that we've gone through for the past 3.5 months, close to 4 months already. And my friends, for the past 3.5 months, the world has suddenly changed, you know, and COVID-19 has changed everything. Everything literally stopped 3.5 months ago. No cars moved, for example. People do not go out for teh tarik, and plans for organizations has just changed. And it was only in the first quarter. And how was I doing in the first 30 days of COVID-19? To be honest with you, I wasn't certainly doing very, very well, because the first 30 days, I was in total shock. I was in total denial. The reason being is that it was in the first quarter, March, and going on to the second quarter. And for Dragonfire itself, we were planning all kinds of gazillion stuff for the year, you know, and the first quarter just going in fairly well, and we were looking at having a grand time the second quarter. But then apparently COVID-19 has changed all of that. And I was, you know, I was interacting with my daughter who lives about an hour away. She was in shock as well. She works in town, and I'm seeing her struggling with how she's managing the family, working from home, you know, her personal life. And I'm seeing some of my friends as well, who was also struggling with a lot of things, you know, especially those parents with small kids. And small kids do not understand why they cannot go out, you know, meet friends and all that. And they go some of the sessions for my uncles and my aunties for their teh tarik session, you know, for their Friday prayers and all that. So things has literally stopped, and things have literally changed. And for the past 3.5 months, I was observing more and more issues with unemployment. Personally, I do have some family members and close friends who have lost job for the past 3.5 months, close to 4 months. And in fact, some of them were berhari raya with no jobs at all. So I saw how things have moved, or rather it has escalated really, really bad from one point to another. Now, my friends, with the topic that I have today, the toolbox to prepare for you for a job search. Now, our toolbox here, what I'm going to talk about the toolbox today, containing some of the resources available and throughout my experiences working with clients, you know, coaching in terms of career and managing their career and transition in transition and placement. But before we start doing that, what will need to happen is a mindset change. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some of my thoughts through slides here. These are anchor slides. Feel free to ask me any questions at all. Any questions, any question is great. So don't think that those are silly questions. Don't feel that way. I welcome any question whatsoever. Okay, so feel free to write in your toolbox. So that's me. Yeah, Hanie has done a fantastic job in introducing me. Thank you so much. Now, as I was mentioning about COVID-19, you know, some of us have lost jobs and all that, you know, facing all kinds of issues and challenges, health-wise, mental wellness, physical wellness, and of course, pocket wellness at the same time. We all have gone through that. But here's the thing. You might have heard about this quote, you know, same storm, different boat. Some may say that we are in the same storm and we are in the same boat, but I beg to be different in this perspective, because I think, yes, all of us are in the same boat, but we are not in, we're in the same storm, but we're not in the same boat. Why? Because during the storm, i.e. the COVID-19 3.5 months, you know, we had a lockdown for a good number of months. Some of us on Facebook, for example, you know, they show how, what kind of breakfast they have in the morning, or what kind of lunch or dinner that they have throughout the day. Whereas what I'm seeing on the other side of the fence is that friends who are struggling to find the next meal. And I think that's when I realized that, oh my God, you know, we're in the same storm, but we're not in the same boat. And some of the things that I like to praise our Malaysians is that we pivot, you know, very, very quick. When the days, the Pasar Selayang and all the fresh markets have been instructed to lock down, what did we do? Malaysians come together, and due to their creativity, they manage to do deliveries. Yeah, my community in my taman were buzzing with delivery guys every single day from lunch onwards. But here's the thing as well, those who have lost job, and because that the pressure is so much in them, sometimes we do things subtly better, simply because we've been pressured, we've been cornered, and there is no other way but survival. And looking out for jobs is one of it. When and I have this perspective. Sometimes it takes one door to close to open up other doors, and that's my thought about losing job. I know it's kind of hard, but today I'm going to, you know, walk through some of the things that I feel that should be applicable to all of us who's looking out for jobs. Now, the landscape of job search has changed as well. When it used to be that we are submitting our resumes into job portals, you know, we have, okay, I'm not going to name names, but all of you knows which are the hot job portals available in the market. Now, the usual way of doing things is that, okay, so we open up an account, and then we review our CV, and then we submit our CV through these job portals, and we pray. And we pray for the next many days and many months. And on the 12 months of application, we realized that we have not been selected. Now, I call these job portals as the Bermuda Triangle of lost CVs, because I can almost guarantee that it is not the right place for you to go. Things have changed as well. So what do we do? What do we do? Life needs to move on. You need to find a job. You need to pivot into a different role for a lot of reasons. The organization has changed as well, and how they recruit talents into coming into the organization has changed as well. A lot of us now realize that we need to learn a lot of new skills. For example, managing Zoom meeting. We used to sit in front of a panel interviewers for interviews. No longer anymore that we're doing that moving forward. Very hardly I hear nowadays, since the office opens, that candidates sits in front of a panel of live interviewers. Instead, they're sitting in exactly like this, like how you are doing, like what I'm doing right now, looking and staring at my tiny dot of a camera. Is it uncomfortable? Yes. And that's the reason why I usually invite my participants to switch on their camera, so that I can see you, and hopefully you can see me as well. So things change, my friends, and what do we do? Now remember, when I said that before we get into the toolbox and looking at the toolbox that we have inside and trying to decide what should we discard, what should we add in, first things first. My question is, where are you in terms of accepting these changes? Now remember, when I first opening up my webinar, I said that, the first 30 days of COVID-19, I was in shock and denial. So what did I do? I had a lot of discussion with my husband on accepting this sudden turn of event, and I talked to my daughters, I talked to family members, trying to accept the fact that certain things did not apparently go to how I've planned. And how do I do this? It's basically trying to accept by reasoning why things happen. It could have been worse, it could have been better, I'm not quite sure, but there are certain things that I certainly could not control, but the only thing that I can control is myself. So my friends, I'm going to ask you, where are you in terms of accepting these changes? The fact that you've lost a job, for example, the fact that you may have to relook at your job search strategy. Things have changed, right? So I'm going to introduce you for the next couple of minutes a concept on the 4 rooms of change. So the 4 rooms of change basically is a concept of understanding change in all of us. Okay, so I'm going to place the analogy here on how does personal loss affect us. So if you remove the word personal loss, it might be, job loss, or the personal loss because of death, a loss because of a downsize in an organization, or your business owner, waking up in the morning and suddenly figuring out that, oh my God, I actually have to close down my company. I now have to look for a job. So what do I do? So before we address all of those things, we need to figure out where are we in accepting the change. So in my experience as a career coach to quite a number of people in my circle, I usually try to identify where their state of mind is within these 4 rooms of change. So you will see that there are 4 quadrants over there. You will see that there's contentment room, there's also the denial room, confusion room, and renewal room. It's a very interesting concept. I would like to invite all of you to have a quick reflection on these next few slides as I talk about which room that you might be at this point of time. Yeah, so just to quickly share that these 4 rooms of change theory was based by a researcher by the name of Claes Jassen, but you may be familiar as well to the change curve by Kubler-Ross. So you may be able to Google up online on the 4 rules of change or the change curve. But I use this concept of 4 rooms of change whenever I walk through a client when there's a change, especially in their career. Yeah, so I'm going to so please bear with me for the next couple of minutes before we ask questions. Okay, so the first one, contentment room. So this is a phase when everything looks fantastic. Everything looks great. Nothing changed. I'm kind of okay. I feel that I'm in control. It's like it's effortless, and the focus that I have right now is it's kind of pretty there. It's here, it's now. I don't have to do much reflection. I'm okay, you're okay, everybody's okay. Actually, to some point, this contentment room is like a plateau. This is where sometimes you will see friends who are not so affected, who seems to not be affected by any changes at all, but just waiting for something to happen really boom and things change. So there's the contentment room, and it's just okay, it's plateau. Yeah, so that's contentment room. The next room, which is the denial room, this is a very interesting room, I say. So remember my 30 days period during the COVID-19, I was especially in that room. I was totally in a space where I was shocked. I was in total denial. I was trying to kind of adjust, but not quite there. And I was contemplating on a lot of things. My defense just got up, and I thought that it went down, but actually it went up. I think I was in control, but not quite. And the feeling of hopelessness, helplessness, the emptiness, and so much of irritation and annoyances simply because things didn't work my way. And I realized that because I realized that I was in the denial room because of all of this, and the words and the behaviors that I was projecting and saying out is just reflected that, my goodness, yes, I was in denial room. So I had to make sure that I move out from this room as quickly as possible. All right, so what the next room is the confusion room. So it's a transition between the denial room to the renewal. It's a slight transition, but the confusion room also is pretty special. It's kind of adjustment, it's kind of not. Would someone likely to change when they're in the confusion room? Yes, but for the negative reason. Yes, they will change because they were forced to change, not because that they want to. Now, we don't want that. We want people to change because they want to, not because that they're being forced. But somehow people do get into confusion room, and there's a lot of negativity in terms of self-consciousness, and the attention is usually based on themselves. They think a lot about themselves. There's a lot of reflection and a sense of unreality. Now, what is the sense of unreality? Because there's so much of things going on. There's a lot of noises happening around them. And that's when the confusion comes in, because they're not quite sure. There's so much option or no option at all. When there are not much options at all, means there's so many negative options. So again, confusion room is a very interesting concept. Now we also want to get out quickly from this confusion room into the next room, which is ideally where we strive to be. Okay, so renewal room. This is where every one of us should strive to be after all of this denial and confusion and all that. So when renewal room kicks in, when we're entering into a renewal room, everything change. We change. The negative thoughts will turn to positive. We embrace these changes. We realize that things have changed, and we also realize that because things have changed, we need to change. If your job search hasn't been working out well for the past 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, I know a guy who's been on a job market for the past 24 months. It was tough for him. I'm not quite sure how he actually walked through the 24 months before we had an engagement together, but he did. He stayed on in the confusion room for the longest time, and it went through from the confusion to denial, back to confusion and back to denial, until, you know, he found a job and found himself literally in the renewal room. So renewal room, would a person likely to change? Yes, because they want to, for positive reasons. And there's a strong feeling of self-confidence, so much energy, they're energized. They provide a positive aura to the people around them, and they innovate. The mindset just change. They innovate in the way they do things. They look at things from a different perspective, and they want to make things happen, which I think is great. And the freedom feeling when someone is already in the renewal room is just brilliant. And I've seen those aha moments for a lot of people when they have entered into renewal room. So my friends, the first thing first is to have that mindset change when we're on a strategy, when we're designing the strategy to look out for our job search. So if there's any questions so far, I will be very, very happy to answer them now before I move on to my next slide, which we're going to talk a little bit more about our toolbox. Any question, my friends?
Any question from participant? You can unmute your mic.
Yeah, you can unmute your mic. You can type in chat box. I'll be very happy to. Okay, let's see. All right. So maybe we shall wait until the end if someone feels shy to ask questions so far.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Do you have any question, Hanie?
For now, no. Let's wait for the other slide.
Okay, no worries. All right, so Mr. Ali Bashir says, all good, thank you. Okay, so moving on, I think all of you might be here because of what's inside the toolbox. All of you are pretty much curious on this toolbox of mine. Now, just before we kick off the webinar 5 today, I had a quick chat with Hanie here, and we were going through some of the slides just to make sure that there's no glitches at all in the technology. It just so happened, you know, sometimes Murphy's Law just kicks in and the slides doesn't move. And we were making some, you know, funny quotes about this. And until I showed her the slide on the toolbox, and I asked her, Hanie, do you like the toolbox? She said, yeah. I think my husband would like it too. And I told her that I'm a toolbox girl. I have 3 toolbox, 2 toolboxes for the house and 1 toolbox for the car. And there's all kinds of things inside this toolbox to help me out, you know, for minor fixing in the house. I've got I've got a hand drill, for example, you know, to drill stuff. It was given to me by my husband for my birthday a couple of years ago. And the first question he asked me was, my dear, what are you going to drill? And I said, stuff. So I wasn't really sure why I needed the hand drill, but I thought to have a hand drill would be so cool to have in my toolbox. So it's the same thing, my friends. Sometimes what we have in the toolbox is something that it looks great, but the question is whether do we really want to use it on a daily basis? Is it really that we need, or is it something that we really want? It depends. So the toolbox that I'm referring about here is basically a concept of the things that you need to have while you're on job search strategy. So the strategy is something else, but there are a lot of things, all these little things that we need to have in order for us to move on with our job search. So I'm going to just walk through a few things, and then I'm going to come back to some of the questions that I think came in our group chat. I hope that's okay. Yeah. So I'll come back to the question from Rashid. All right. Okay. So toolbox. Again, it depends on what kind of toolbox that you have with you. Is it a toolbox for the car? That's an analogy. Or is it a toolbox for the house? I'm not quite sure. So in this case, it's a career toolbox for you. Okay, so what do you need inside this career toolbox? Again, it depends. It depends on what stage of job search are you, or what stage of a role or career that you have. Are you a fresh grad, for example? Are you a mid-level manager, or are you a senior manager, or are you a C-suite? Because it depends. What works for fresh grads may not work for you who is in the middle management. What works for the C-level may not work for you as a fresh grad. But basically, these are the things that we have to, you know, kind of look at. You know, you pile it up and then you look at it and you ponder, do I need it or do I want it? Is it a feel good thing, or is it because that he has it and I want the same? Again, it depends. But what I'm going to walk through here are some of the things that I feel it's a fine balancing act between the need and the want. Again, it depends on a lot of things. So number one, what should be inside your toolbox, my friends? Mentors and coaches. You need mentors and coaches. I think this is not a want. I think this is a need, simply because mentors and coaches would be your guidance. Sometimes we are so full, fully consumed in a space. Remember about our room of change? We're so fully consumed, sitting in say for example in the denial room, that we can't see anything else around us, and therefore we need somebody else who would come in to us and say, look, honey, I think you've been in the blinking denial room too long. Let's do this. Let me take you out for coffee. Let's have a conversation about this. And mentors and coaches would be able to give you a different perspective, motivate you. For example, if that is what you really need, sometimes the job will come in after you feel motivated. Sometimes you will look for the job after you've addressed all other personal stuff, you know, health-wise, for example. There's so much worry. So mentors and coaches, personally, my friends, I think this is one area where you may, there's so many mentors out there who would be very, very happy to you know, to come in and have and guide you, and also coaches at the same time. Yeah, so mentors and coaches. And the next one would be personal and professional network. Enhance your personal and professional network. Now is a good time to kind of, you know, call out for that favor again. What we human being, what we're fantastic at doing it is asking for help for other people. Now think about it. We're so good at asking help for other people. You know, hey, my friend, can you help my friend Ahmad? He needs a job. But to ask that help for us is kind of like difficult. So now is a good time, because if it's now, it's not a good time. I'm wondering when is a good time. So personal and professional network, you need to strengthen it. If you think that you are introvert, doesn't feel like talking to people, well, you know what, my friends, now is a good time to kind of push yourself a little bit more from your comfort zone, and make it as an objective that your network will basically help you to put food on the table, or the sustaining putting food on the table, because there is a need. Okay, the next one that should be inside your toolbox is your updated CV. My question to a lot of you: when was the last time you take a look at your CV? Not only to take a look, belik, but basically to update it into the current format. No longer that we want to see all the colorful CVs, or you know, a lot of graphics and all that. For us, a career coach, when we see a CV like that, we say, oh my goodness, where are the contents? You know, all these blue, black, green colors of your CV doesn't really tell you what accomplishment that you have done. So my friends, you need updated CV right now. If you're not quite sure how to do that, I know somebody will tell you Google lah, you know, but Google will give you 109 billion suggestion on how to do that. And again, you come back into the confusion room. You can't move. So what do? So what you need to do is to make sure you approach people who have done it, been there, done it. You approach recruiters, for example, to find out what's their perspective on what do they want to see in a CV. You talk to your friends who are business owners. What do they want to see when they start hiring? For example, talk to career coaches, i.e. me, for example. But I can assure you there's so many other coaches in the market. And in fact, I'm going to mention, for example, you know, if you are someone who's pivoting into or exploring into businesses, and wanted to learn a little bit more, talk to Coach Faisal and team, and I think they've done some really fantastic work. Approach him. He's a very nice guy. All my friends are nice, by the way. And you know, ask them to take a look at it and see whether it makes sense. Is it something that the audience is looking for? So don't feel like you are going to go through this on your own, because no point in you setting up your own CV and you short sendiri, you know, and finding out that it's not relevant to what the market is looking for. And the next one, my friends, financial overview. So because of the COVID-19, and not just because of the COVID-19, there are a lot of people who does not look at their financial overview, the broad overview. They tend to live day by day. And there are a lot of reasons for this. Number one, I think that is because of the upbringing. You know, that's how they've been raised up. Either they are in total poverty, or not much access to a lot of, you know, life luxury, for example, they tend to spend. So they don't look at the financial commitment and all that, not in a very objective way. It's kind of scary. And those of you who have been raised slightly differently, I would say, you know, during the during the growing up, yes, you see the value of looking at at the importance of financial literacy. So if you have just started work, make sure that you speak to Coach Faisal and talk about your financial the literacy of your financial overview. So talk to him, you know, and making sure that you have plans on for rainy days. And especially, I know for a fact that a lot of my friends and some of my family members, when they lost job, they could not sustain. They could not sustain. The most was, I think, about a month, and anything more. And remember, the time when our COVID-19, our lockdown was extended again and again after every 2 weeks. It was getting scarier and scarier, scarier and scarier, because the financial situation wasn't really helping at all. So, my friends, look at your financial overview. This is a need in your toolbox. Okay, upskilling needs and resources. This is also very, very true. I'll be very honest with you. Before COVID-19, before we had our lockdown in Malaysia and globally, yes, I was using Zoom for my career coaching, because to travel out from my home to the city is quite far. I live in the beautiful part of north of Kuala Lumpur. It's called Kuala Selangor. Okay, so we're kind of far from everything else. So the needs that I had, I realized that, my goodness, it's not just about using Zoom as a platform to communicate with my clients, but I was literally forced to learn more tools to make sure that my training sessions, for example, are engaging. You know, I have to make sure that I deliver values to my clients, and I needed to get upskilling fairly quickly, and it wasn't really that easy as well, because everyone else was struggling, you know, trying to figure out what's the best camera, what's the best lighting, if there's any lighting, you know, should I upgrade my data? What if it rains? I had that problem before, you know, if it rains, I lost everything. So these are upskilling of new skills and trying to identify what are the resources available. Be creative, guys. There are a gazillion resources out there. All you need to do is to ask. So there's another question as well. What about academic and certification upgrade? Now, here's the thing. Sometimes they say, yeah, we'll hire you for attitude, never mind the paperwork. That's true as well. So none of this statement is wrong. However, sometimes, especially for those who comes back into a job market, those who are career breakers, for example. And I was talking to one client today. She's a career breaker for the past 8 years. You know, she's a career breaker for the past 8 years. She was in IT before this. She was managing IT project and all that. She was at a senior leadership role, but she had a career break for 8 years for family matters. She wanted to make sure that she's with her sons, growing up, going through the school and university stage. So now she's ready to come back. Now, with a PhD to her name, she still thinks that she requires certification. And I'm thinking, you have a PhD in technology, and she thinks that she needs a certification? Well, not likely, because her role before was in a senior leadership. So my suggestion to her was something for her to think about. So instead of having a 60% of skill set based approach when she's looking for a job, why not change it to 60-40-60 on leadership approach, and 40% on the technology knowledge? Because the technology she can catch up fairly quickly, but the leadership is something that she already have. And she thought about it and she said, well, yeah, I never thought of it that way. So the upskilling needs and resources would be something that you guys need to really really look at, write it down, and think about it for a moment, at which direction that you're heading, and what stage that you are right now in your career. So very, very important. And also the academic and certification at the same time. Do you really need the MBA? I'm not quite sure. If you're a fresh grad and can't work and you're continuing and planning to do your MBA, I think that's not a very good idea. I'm so sorry. You know, yes, an MBA is sexy enough to be with your name, but without a good grasp of a working experience, that MBA experience will not be a good experience for you. So something for you to ponder. But certification, yes, always great for certification upgrading, is continuous improvement in terms of professional and personal development. What else? A plan. You need a plan. You need a map, so to speak. Otherwise, then, you know, just like Alice in Wonderland, the Cheshire Cat asks her, "Where are you heading, Alice?" And Alice says, Alice says, "Front, I'm heading this way." Which road? It doesn't matter. So what it means is that if you don't have a plan, then you plan to fail. So you gotta have some plan. It's okay if the plan is sketch on a piece of paper, it's fine. So you just need to look it down, draw the plan. So what's the plan? You need a map. The what if scenario. What if I do this for the next 1 week? And what if it doesn't work? My friends, you need a plan. Otherwise, you're planning to fail. So need a plan. And last but not least, I think this is very interesting. Never forget to love yourself. You need to love yourself. You need to have determination, grit, positivity. Wake up in the morning and gift yourself with this salutation. Assalamualaikum. Good morning, Hanie. I'm glad that I'm breathing again this morning. I'm able to have roof on my head, and I have food on my table for breakfast. Love yourself first. Otherwise, then how can you find that love and fulfillment and happiness when you start going for work, or when you get offered a job, when you don't have anything to offer, and then it becomes just another thing that you're doing on a daily basis. It's just like taking out trash, for example. So we don't want to do that. Love yourself. Have that determination. Find your motivation and wake up to positivity every day. Con Marie your network at the same time, making sure that you get rid of all the negativity in your life, get rid of the things that doesn't contribute to your happiness. It doesn't contribute to your what do you call that, to your success, for example. And that, my friends, includes friends. It's a tough word coming out from me, I know that, but the success of your life when looking at your career journey comes from basically your ecosystem. If the negativity weighs so much on you, there is no way, my friends, that you can be successful in your life. And that includes your career. So love, determination, positivity, get rid of the negativity. And inshallah, God's willing, you'll be able to do this. So my friends, those are the things that I am suggesting that you should look at your inside your toolbox. And I think I'm going to do a time check. My goodness, we're almost 5. We're almost 6, yeah? Yes, okay. So I'm going to just look at the chat room. We've got a few questions. All right, okay, one moment. Let's try to address Rashid's question first. Mani, okay, Rashid, are you there? Are you shy to switch on your camera? Okay, no problem.
Okay. So, all right, this question is, how do you figure out job fit or suitability?
Okay, so job fit. I've been asked this question way so many times. So there's a lot of perspective to this definition of job fit, right? So they say, oh, if your goal is to find 15,000 ringgit a month of a job, I think that fits as well. Or the work also involves something that I'm passionate about. I've got a good boss, etc., etc. I think that sounds like a job fit, or it will be suitable for me. I think before we talk about the money, I think before we talk about a good boss, good organization, etc., etc., what I think we need to have is a conversation about your work values. The reason being is that your work values should be aligned to the work values of the organization that you're going to come in. Consider this, it's a marriage of two parties. There you are and the organization. If your values do not get aligned together, there is no amount of money or status or sexy call cards or the office at the corner will make you want to stay or be happy and feel fulfilled. Yeah. So how do you figure out job fit or suitability? First, you need to know what's your job values, and match it to the organization's values at the same time. The aim, of course, is 100% aligned, but I won't say that it's rare, but it happens. And I'm seeing a lot of success stories where both values are aligned and people stay, people perform, you feel happy, you feel fulfilled. And that is the aim when we want to look for a role. I've removed the word job because a job is like washing dishes, that's a job also. Hey, your mom said, go wash dishes, that's a job. Okay, go clean the bathroom, that's a job. But if it's a role, that is something that you're doing, out of passion, you believe in the cause. So look for your values first. I hope that answers you, Rashid. And the next one would be, okay, that's Zahira. There's a question from Zahira.
Can you elaborate more about elevator pitch?
Okay, so can you elaborate more about elevator pitch? Now, that's a very broad question, Zahira, but I suppose, and I'm guessing here, is that you wanted to know either what is elevator pitch, or the second one is how do I do my elevator pitch? I'm not quite sure which one that you're referring to, but I'm going to attempt to answer both. Okay, so what is elevator pitch? It start off, the idea is this: when you take an elevator from ground floor to say third, fifth floor, it'll take you a few seconds, maybe 20 seconds, 30 seconds, depending on whatever floor that you're going in. So elevator pitch basically is a pitch that you tell someone about you, how you can contribute to the cause of other person, or what you're bringing to the table within a short time, usually about 30-40 seconds the most. And if it's ground floor to first floor, that might be about 20-30 seconds. So it depends. Okay, so we're talking about that range. The second attempt, I'm going to try to answer you. How do I do elevator pitch? I think we're running short of time, but I do conduct workshop on interview prep. So I hope Coach Faizal Mahani, I hope you don't mind me sharing this. I do.
Yes,
I do conduct interview prep specifically on how to attend interview, how to prep yourself, and basically the elevator pitch is to answer this soalan cepu mas lah. Soalannya ialah tell me about yourself. So I will teach you exactly on how to answer this soalan cepu mas, and I can assure you what I'm going to share with you in the session is exactly the same methodology that I've worked with my C-level clients, and Alhamdulillah, so you're getting a lot of values from there. So there you go. Any other question? And I'm just, checking on time. We have a couple of minutes.
Okay,
Okay,
okay, one more question. I will
sure.
reach 50 this year and will be getting some from my EPF account. Shall
Mm.
I clear off my debt with it or remain with my monthly commitment? People say cash is king.
Okay, people say cash is king. Between me and Coach Faizal Mahani, in answering this question, I think more brownie points for Coach Faizal to answer this. I may be coming in from a slightly different perspective, but Coach Faizal, I think, has more credibility in answering this question. So I hope Mr. iPhone Cheryl can contact Coach Faisal and see whether he can help you out with this question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, okay, one more question.
Sure.
Private one. Okay.
Oh.
Social media offer lots of course, free course and paid course. What do you think? Do we need to join the course? I think they mentioned they asked about the Excel free course like that.
Okay. What was the question again? Sorry.
Social media offer lots of free courses.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think it's good for us to join to improve our CV?
Okay. So there are two parts there. Whether is it good to join all these courses? So that's the first part, and second part, is it going to be? Is it going to reflect well, or should I add this in my CV to add values to it? I think I need to address. I think I need to address the first part first, which is should I join all these courses? And to that, this is my answer. Self-progress means continuous learning. And any learning, anytime, anywhere is great. I am a big advocate of continuous learning. Um, and that explains, yeah. So the second part to the question is, would these courses enhances my CV? It depends. If your job does not so much require you to use Excel spreadsheet, then you may then the course may be valuable for you as a knowledge, but not valuable enough to be placed on your CV. I hope that makes sense. Again, learning should not stop because other people say so. That is not relevant. Continue learning, but when you start looking at your CV, treat it as a premium plot of land, and you need to customize for every application. If it requires certain skill sets, certain certifications, certain